What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. Hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I have a new installment of my Monolithic Pulse series to do for you guys. This is a segment in which I dedicate time to talking about bands, artists, and projects that venture outside or around the norms of extreme music. Doesn't necessarily have to be metal, but it could be something completely different. I have two different projects to talk to you about here. Both projects I've talked about here in years past, but they have both put out 2016 releases, and I think they are both worth noting and speaking about. The first project is something a little bit on the local side, and I'm going to be talking to you about the band GOATCRAFT. It's a one-person project based out of San Antonio, Texas, and of course it's run by one person, a guy by the name of Lone Goat. And this is probably one of the more intriguing projects around extreme music because while the compositions may be centered around extreme metal, whether it be black or death metal, the execution is something completely different. And that execution veers around dark ambient and neoclassical music. It's a very intriguing and satisfying sort of sound, and this project has put out two very distinctive full lengths. The 2013 debut, All for Naught, and probably my favorite release under the GOATCRAFT banner, 2014's The Blasphemer. Very conceptual, very lengthy, very elaborate, but something very memorable. Now in 2016 we have a brand new GOATCRAFT record entitled Yersinia Pestis. Like the last album, this was released on Voidhanger Records, and like the last album, this one has a little bit of a concept behind it. If I'm not mistaken, this is somewhat inspired by the ideas of the Black Plague. Some sort of dark, brooding sort of feeling when you listen to something like this. And it's a much shorter record than the previous GOATCRAFT record, but I feel that the less is more approach works well here for this new GOATCRAFT record. If you're accustomed to and familiarized with the sound GOATCRAFT goes for, it's going to be very, very well utilized here within the 10 tracks that are on here. I would say this is a very short record, but it's not short enough to the point where you think it's going to fly past you. You will need to give this your absolute time and attention and listening to. But yeah, it's really awesome sounding stuff. It's pretty much brain food for any listener of music. Really good compositions, very dark, very brooding, very harrowing stuff. I mean, you hear tracks like Beyond Nothingness, Plague, The Great Mortality, and probably one of my favorite tracks on here, Flagellation for Atonement. Seriously good songwriting compositions on here. The piano playing works out very well here. The additional keyboard elements work out very well here too, and I think this makes for some very gratifying and wonderful listening. It's definitely, like I said, brain food. You want to feel a little smarter, you throw on a GOATCRAFT CD or record, and you just are going to be in for a really, really amazing time with this album. I honestly would say The Blasphemer is still probably the best release under the GOATCRAFT banner, but Yersinia Pestis is definitely another solid and incredible effort from this project, and I'm hopeful to hear more GOATCRAFT stuff in the future. I think Lone Goat has something very special here with GOATCRAFT, and I think it's very wonderful for any fan of classical music or anyone who is into extreme music that wants to broaden their horizons just a little bit. And Yersinia Pestis is that record to be checking out. And another project I'm going to be talking to you about here is another band project that I've spoken about here many times in this channel before, and I'm talking about HORSEBACK. This is a one-person project based out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina, formed by a guy by the name of Jenks Miller. I would honestly consider Jenks Miller to be one of my all-time favorite singer-songwriters, not just in metal, but music in general. This guy is just so smart, so intelligent, so thought-provoking. He brings in such depth, so many layers, and so much depth to his music, not just with HORSEBACK, but for other sorts of great musical projects. Jenks has had a very intriguing and entertaining 2016, to say the least bit, not just with a project like HORSEBACK, but with his stuff outside of the project, like the band Mount Moriah. They put out a brand new full-length album this year. Really, really awesome, gospel and country tinged rock. Very experimental, but yet I think Mount Moriah is a great band in its own right. And he put out a new project under his name, and I want to say Rose Cross, North Carolina. I think that's another solo project of his. I want to say something completely different and outside of the norm. But of course, being somewhat biased, Horseback is and will always be my favorite project that Jenks Miller has done here, and I'm happy to hear that he has something new in 2016 with Dead Ringers, released on Relapse Records. This is another pretty lengthy and experimental dive into a different sort of rabbit hole here, because Horseback has had a very distinctive and varied discography and sound throughout the years. You can't really pin one sort of sound for Horseback. It's crazy. You have krautrock, drone, metal, experimental, shoegaze. Every single element of those sort of sounds merge and come in very well for a project like Horseback, with albums like Impale Golden Horn, The Invisible Mountain, to later releases like Half Blood, and with Piedmont Apocrypha, where he pretty much changed up the style just a little bit. It still had the Horseback flair in nature, but with the inclusion of sung vocals and some really out there experimentation, it made for something very special. But here in 2016 with Dead Ringers, I want to say this is the 5th album under the Horseback name, correct me if I'm wrong, but listening to Dead Ringers, it definitely feels like a return to form in comparison to the last full length, but with the same newer elements that were on previous Horseback releases. I mean, the thing that stands out to me the most about Dead Ringers is the riffs. Really, really incredible guitar playing being done here, both on a guitar and bass sort of front. Very crystal clear and audible. These riffs are so awesome. It really brings out the doomy sort of metal vibes that you would get from the Horseback project. But everything else that makes Horseback so special shows up here too. The droning elements, the keys, the synths, the added atmosphere. It just feels really, really awesome. I mean, you hear songs like Modern Pole, A Bolt from Blue, the chord itself, to songs like Larkspur, and even the 16-minute long closing track of this record, Descend from the Crown. Just some really intelligent musicianship and songwriting being done on all of these tracks. And one thing to point out about this Horseback record is the type of vocal styles that are being done here. I believe Jenks is doing the vocals here, and he does some incredible crooning going on here. I think he has a really, really awesome vocal style, whether it be sung or growled. He has a very distinctive sort of growl, but I think he has improved tenfold here with his singing style and capabilities, especially on the track Lion Killer. I really enjoy his crooning and singing on that song. It's really catchy, it's very memorable, and it is very meaningful. And going back to a song like The Chord itself, where he incorporates an almost spoken word sort of element, I think it really, really sounds fantastic, and I really do like the extra special sort of vibes you pick up when you listen to that particular song. Once again, going back to the closing track, Descend from the Crown, you have the instance of spoken word vocals and experimentation, and I think it really works out well here. This is another really incredible album from Horseback. I honestly respect the hell out of Jenks for being so elaborate and so consistent with his discography and with his style of music throughout the years. I've talked about Horseback a lot here, but it's for good reason. I definitely think that Horseback is on top of their form here with Dead Ringers. Another amazing record by Jenks Miller. So yeah, I'm going to leave you links to both of the albums that I discussed in this video, both to the I Void Hanger Bandcamp and the Horseback personal Bandcamp page. GOATCRAFT is available in a limited CD to 300 copies. You can buy it directly through the Bandcamp page, and the Horseback album is available on both CD and double LP. Pick it up however you're able to. I definitely think these are both awesome releases worth checking out and listening to. If you happen to have heard either of these releases, definitely let me know what you think about it and how you feel about it, and hopefully within the next month or two I can have another one of these kinds of videos done and ready to do. So yeah, I'm going to conclude this video. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until the next time, Army Hope out.